Hello friends, welcome back to 30 Minutes Book Summaries. Today's book is one of those rare ones that feels like someone reached inside your chest, pulled out exactly what's been bothering you, and quietly handed it back to you with a label on it. The book is Focus on What Matters by Darius Foroux. And I want to start with a question. This morning, before you even fully woke up, how many things were already running through your mind? Work deadlines, what someone said yesterday, what you need to post on Instagram, whether that person replied to your message, what your boss thinks of you, what your family expects from you. All of that before you even got out of bed. That mental pressure, that constant buzzing, that's exactly what this book addresses. And the solution Foroux offers is ancient, simple, and almost shockingly effective. Let's get into it. Part 1. The Dichotomy of Control. The one idea that changes everything. Here's the central idea of this entire book. Some things are in your control. Most things are not. And your peace depends entirely on knowing the difference. This comes from Stoic philosophy, one of the oldest and most practical schools of thought in human history. And Foroux brings it into the modern world in a way that immediately makes sense. Let me give you an example you'll recognize instantly. You post a photo on social media. You're excited about it. You think it's good. And then you wait. Maybe people like it. Maybe they don't. Maybe someone leaves a comment that stings. Maybe your post gets completely ignored. And suddenly your mood for the entire day is ruined. But here's the question Foroux asks. Was their reaction ever in your control? No, it wasn't. What you posted. Why you posted it. How you feel about it yourself. Everything else. Other people's opinions. Their attention, their reactions. That was never yours to control. And yet we hand our happiness over to those exact things every single day. Foroux says this is the root of most of our suffering. We're constantly anxious about things that were never in our hands. And we're ignoring the one thing that is, our own actions and responses. Think about a job interview. You prepare thoroughly. You study the company. You rehearse your answers. You show up sharp and confident. And then you don't get the job. Does that mean you failed? According to Foroux, and according to Stoic philosophy, absolutely not. Because your preparation, your effort, your honesty in the room, those were in your control. The hiring decision, the interviewer's mood, the other candidate's experience, never yours to begin with. When you understand this, truly understand it, something shifts. You stop torturing yourself over outcomes you couldn't have controlled anyway. And you start putting all of that energy where it actually belongs, into the quality of your effort, your character, and your choices. Foroux breaks every situation in life into two simple categories: controllable, uncontrollable. Someone didn't reply to your message? Uncontrollable. It started raining on your way to an event? Uncontrollable. You didn't get the promotion? Uncontrollable. Traffic made you late? Uncontrollable. But how you respond to all of these, whether you spiral into frustration or handle it calmly, that is completely yours. He says, make it a habit. Every time something bothers you, ask one simple question first: is this in my control? If yes, take action. If no, let it go. Every single time. It sounds almost too simple, but practice this for even a week and watch what happens to your stress levels. He also talks about something that hits really close to home: comparison. When we scroll through social media and see someone else's success, their body, their relationship, their lifestyle, we immediately feel like we're falling behind. But whose life are you actually comparing yours to? A highlight reel, a filtered version, a performance. In your comparison, your anxiety about not measuring up is based entirely on something outside your control. Foroux says, when you focus on your own actions, your own habits, your own growth, comparison fades on its own. You stop measuring yourself against others because you're too busy building yourself. This is the foundation of everything else in this book. The dichotomy of control isn't just a philosophy. It's a daily practice, a lens you wear every morning when you wake up. Peace isn't something you find outside. It's something you build inside, by choosing again and again to focus only on what you can actually change. Part 2. Letters to Yourself. The Art of Slowing Down. Now, Foroux does something in this book that most self-help authors don't do. He doesn't just give you frameworks and strategies. He writes you letters. Short, honest, deeply personal letters, each one focused on a single theme. Fear, overthinking, chasing validation, letting go, loneliness, grief. 2 to 4 pages each, but every single word lands. It feels like sitting with a very wise, very honest friend who sees exactly what you're going through and isn't going to sugarcoat it, but also isn't going to judge you. It feels like coming home to yourself. Let me walk you through a few of these letters. The letter on fear. We all carry fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being left behind, fear of change. But this letter says something that reframes everything. Fear isn't here to stop you. It's here to show you something. When you feel fear, it's a signal. This thing matters to you. This is where something real is at stake. This is where growth is waiting. The letter doesn't say be fearless. It says sit with your fear. Ask it what it's trying to tell you. When you stop running from fear and start getting curious about it, you find clarity on the other side. The letter on overthinking. This one hits differently. How many times have you replayed a conversation in your head 17 times? How many future scenarios have you catastrophized that never actually happened? Foroux's letter on overthinking says something so true it almost stings. Thinking about it more doesn't solve it. It just creates more confusion. Overthinking disconnects you from the present moment. It traps you in a mental loop that goes nowhere. The letter teaches one simple practice. Ground yourself. Breathe. Pause. Come back to right now. Not everything needs to be analyzed. Not every question needs an answer today. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply trust that things will unfold and stop trying to control the unfolding. The letter on chasing validation. This might be the most relatable letter in the entire book. We all do this, whether we admit it or not. We post something and check how many likes it got. We say something and watch how people react. We make decisions based on what others will think of us. We've quietly tied our self-worth to other people's approval. And Foroux' letter says, your value was never something you had to prove. It was always already there. When we chase validation, we drift away from ourselves. We start performing instead of living. We optimize for approval instead of authenticity. But when we reconnect with our own values, our own sense of self, the hunger for external validation slowly, quietly fades. Reading this letter feels like someone just gave you permission to stop performing. What makes these letters so special? They're not motivational speeches. They don't tell you to hustle harder or think more positive. They're honest, they're soft, they're real, and they're repeatable. You can read a letter today, come back to the same letter a month from now, and it will mean something completely different because you've changed in the meantime. It's like meditation. The same breath observed on a different day feels different every time. These letters are a gentle pause in a world that never stops moving. They remind you that not every answer comes quickly. Sometimes you just need to sit down, get quiet, and listen to the whisper underneath all the noise. The whisper that says, it's okay, you're doing fine. Just breathe. And perhaps the most beautiful thing this book offers. It doesn't tell you to become better. It reminds you that you were already enough. No performance required. No judgment. Just acceptance. And in today's world, that might be the most radical thing anyone can say. H3, Part 3, Protecting Your Attention, Your Most Valuable Asset. P. Here's something Foroux says that might change the way you look at your phone forever. Your attention is the most valuable thing you own, and right now, someone else is spending it. Think about that. Every notification, every scroll, every platform competing for your eyes, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, every app designed by teams of engineers to be as hard to put down as possible. Your attention isn't just being distracted. P, it's being extracted. And what's the cost? Foroux says, it's not just time. It's your clarity, your creativity, your peace of mind, even your identity. Here's the pattern most of us live in without realizing it. We'll pick up our phones first thing in the morning, before we've even fully woken up. We're in reactive mode, responding to the world's agenda instead of setting our own. By the time we put the phone down, we've already given away the freshest, most focused version of our mind. And the day just continues from there. Scattered, reactive, busy but somehow empty. Foroux calls this living in shallow mode. You're constantly busy. Emails, messages, switching tabs, scrolling, reacting. But nothing goes deep. Nothing gets finished. Nothing truly satisfying gets created. He contrasts this with strong, deep work, that rare, extraordinary state where your mind is fully present, fully engaged with one thing, running at its absolute best. Deep work is where great ideas come from, where real progress happens, where the kind of satisfaction that lasts beyond the moment gets built. But deep work is only possible when your attention is protected. And here's the uncomfortable truth Foroux shares.
Most of us are distracted because we're bored.
We're distracted because we're uncomfortable. When a task gets difficult, we reach for the phone. When anxiety creeps in, we scroll. When a conversation gets emotionally challenging, we check our notifications. Distraction is how we escape discomfort, temporarily, but at enormous long-term cost. Because every time we choose distraction over discomfort, we train our brain to be weaker, less capable of sitting with difficulty, less able to focus when it matters. So what do? Foroux gives us several practical strategies. First, design your environment. Your attention will go where your environment pulls it. If your phone is the first thing you see in the morning, you'll reach for it. If social media apps are one tap away, you'll tap them. Make distraction harder. Move apps off your home screen. Put your phone in another room when you're doing focused work. Create physical distance between you and the things that compete for your attention. Second, build distraction-free zones. Choose specific times in your day when you are completely unreachable. No notifications, no messages, just you and the work. Even 1 hour a day of truly uninterrupted focus will transform your output. Third, learn to tolerate boredom. This one sounds strange, but it's profound. Most of us can't sit in silence for 5 minutes anymore without reaching for something to fill it. We've trained ourselves to be constantly stimulated. But boredom, real boredom, is where your best ideas come from. When your mind has nothing to consume, it starts to create. It starts to connect dots, to imagine. The most original thoughts you'll ever have will arrive in the spaces between stimulation, not inside them. Fourth, guard your mornings. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Foroux recommends spending the first hour of your morning on intentional activities: journaling, reading, quiet reflection, focused work. Do this before you check your phone, before you let the world's noise into your head. Because that first hour, that's your mind at its clearest, its most creative, its most powerful. Don't give that hour away to someone else's algorithm. He ends this section with one of the most memorable lines in the book. In a world where everyone is competing for your attention, protecting it is the greatest achievement. So the next time your hand moves toward your phone without thinking, pause, ask yourself, am I about to give away my most valuable asset? If the answer is yes, you have a choice. You can take it back. Part 4. Regret, the teacher you've been ignoring. Late at night, when everything is quiet, do you ever find yourself thinking, I wish I had taken that risk. I wish I had said what I really felt. I wish I had been more honest, more present, more brave. Those quiet wishes, those are regrets. And Foroux spends a significant part of this book talking about them, not to make you feel guilty, but to help you understand what regret is actually trying to tell you. His core insight is this: regret doesn't come from making mistakes. It comes from acting in ways that don't match your values. When you do something that feels wrong at the core, even if everyone else is doing it, even if it's the safe choice, a small mismatch is created between who you are and what you did. And over time, those small mismatches accumulate. They become the weight you carry, the quiet heaviness underneath the busyness. Foroux says, look at your regrets not as wounds, but as signals. A regret about a job tells you that work wasn't aligned with what matters to you. A regret about a relationship tells you you didn't express yourself honestly. A regret about a missed opportunity tells you you let fear make that decision instead of you. Regret is a mirror, and what it's showing you is where you compromised on yourself. Now here's the powerful implication. If you understand that regret comes from misalignment, then the way to avoid future regret is surprisingly clear. Get clear on your values and make decisions that match them. This sounds simple, but most people have never actually sat down and defined what they truly value. What actually matters to them, not what they're supposed to value, not what their parents valued, not what society says should matter. What matters to you? Foroux says, without clarity on this, you'll always be living someone else's life, making decisions based on other people's approval. And those decisions will always eventually feel hollow. He also makes a distinction that really resonates. Regret doesn't always come immediately. You make a compromise today, tell yourself it's fine, move on. But years later, you realize you've been slowly building a life that doesn't feel like yours. A career that numbs you. Relationships where you've never been fully honest. A version of yourself that's been performing instead of living. The one that builds quietly in the background while you're busy with everything else. Foroux's advice is to practice what he calls proactive living. Before you make an important decision, pause and ask, is this aligned with what I actually value? Or am I doing this out of fear or to please someone else? And importantly, he says don't turn regret into guilt. Guilt is self-punishment. It keeps you stuck in the past. But regret, when used wisely, is self-information. It points forward. It says, here's what needs to change. Use it as a guide, not a prison. He also challenges a very common assumption. If I avoid risks, I'll avoid regret. Foroux says this is completely backwards. The deepest regrets don't come from the risks you took. They come from the risks you never took. The dream you never pursued, the conversation you never had, the talent you kept hidden because you were afraid of judgment. Those are the regrets that stay with you longest. So he says, live boldly, but wisely. Follow your heart, but engage your mind. Take action, but let your values lead the action. And when you come to a crossroads, that moment where two paths diverge and you're not sure which to take, ask yourself one question. Does this actually matter to me? Not to your parents, not to your friends, not to the version of you performing for social media. To you, the real one, the one that's still there underneath all the noise. And it will rarely steer you wrong. Let's end with something that ties all of this together. Fear. Everyone has it, and most of us spend enormous amounts of energy trying to avoid it, hide it, or outrun it. But Foroux, drawing again from Stoic philosophy, offers a completely different relationship with fear. Fear is not your enemy, it's your guide. Here's what he means. Fear shows up most intensely precisely where something meaningful is at stake, where growth is possible, where your life could actually change. Think about it. The fear of speaking publicly, that's where your voice is waiting to be heard. The fear of starting your own business, that's where your freedom might be hiding. The fear of being vulnerable in a relationship, that's where real connection lives. Fear points toward growth, every time. The Stoics didn't aim to be fearless. That would be neither realistic nor desirable. Instead, they aimed for something much more powerful. Feeling the fear and doing the right thing anyway. That's courage, and it's completely different from fearlessness. Fearlessness means the absence of fear, which is either impossible or a sign you're not attempting anything significant. Courage means the fear is there, your heart is pounding, your palms are sweating, and you move forward anyway because you know this matters. Fearless is a myth. Courageous is a choice. Foroux also makes an incredibly useful observation about how fear works in our minds. Most of the time, our fear is not responding to reality. It's responding to a story our mind is telling about reality. You're afraid of what people will think if you speak up. But those people are probably too busy thinking about themselves to analyze your every word. You're afraid of failure before you've even tried. But you've already imagined the worst-case scenario so vividly that it feels real, even though it hasn't happened. He says, most fear lives in imagination, not reality. And when you recognize that, when you see fear as a thought rather than a fact, its grip on you loosens. A practical exercise he suggests: keep a fear journal. When fear comes up, write it down. What exactly am I afraid of? Why? And what is the actual reality of this situation? 9 times out of 10, when you write the fear down and look at it clearly, it shrinks. The monster in the dark turns out to be manageable in the light. He also brings this back to regret with one final powerful idea. Short-term fear is far less dangerous than long-term regret. If you don't start that business because you're afraid, and 5 years from now you're sitting with the weight of never having tried, was the fear worth it? If you don't have that honest conversation because vulnerability scares you, and the relationship slowly deteriorates as a result, was the avoidance worth it? Foroux says, the temporary discomfort of facing your fear is almost always a better deal than the permanent weight of a regret you could have avoided. Choose the uncomfortable path when it's the right one, because short-term discomfort can make you stronger forever. Long-term regret just makes you smaller. So friends, let's bring it all together. Focus on What Matters by Darius Foroux is not just a book. It's a manual for living with more clarity, more courage, and a whole lot less unnecessary suffering. Here are the 5 things to carry with you. 1. The Dichotomy of Control. Ask yourself every day, is this in my control? If yes, act. If no, let it go. Your peace depends on this distinction. Read something honest. Sit with yourself. You don't need to always be optimizing. Sometimes, you just need to reconnect. 3. Protect your attention. It's your most valuable asset. Stop giving it away unconsciously. Design your day so that your best hours go toward what actually matters. 4. Use regret as a guide, not a punishment. Your regrets are pointing toward your values. Listen to them. Then make decisions that align with who you actually are. 5. Choose courage over fearlessness. Fear will always come when something important is on the line. That's normal. That's actually good. Feel it, and move anyway. The peace, the clarity, the life you're looking for, it's not outside you. It was inside you the whole time. You just needed to get quiet enough, focused enough, to find it. Which part of this summary spoke to you the most? Tell me in the comments right now. And if someone in your life is overthinking, chasing validation, or living in fear right now, send them this video. It might be exactly what they need today. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell, so you never miss a summary on 30 Minutes Book Summaries.